America stands at a crossroads. The 2024 presidential election is more than just a contest for power. It's a battle for the soul of the nation. On one side stands Donald Trump, the fiery and unpredictable businessman who shattered political norms during his first term. On the other side stands Kamala Harris, the first woman of color to hold the office of vice president, vying to become the first female president. The nation is deeply divided. Trump's supporters see him as a champion of the working class, a fearless leader who speaks his mind and puts America first. Harris's supporters view her as a beacon of hope, a symbol of progress and inclusivity in a nation grappling with its past. The stakes couldn't be higher. This election will determine the direction of the country for generations to come. It will decide whether America continues down a path of nationalism and isolationism or embraces a more globalized and cooperative future. It will test the very fabric of American democracy as both sides grapple with issues of race, identity, and the very definition of truth. The world is watching. America's allies and adversaries alike are keenly aware of the high stakes involved in this election. The outcome will have profound implications for global stability, trade, and the fight against climate change. The eyes of history are upon us. Donald Trump is back, and he's not holding back. His 2024 campaign is a full-throated appeal to his base, a promise to make America great again. He rails against the radical left, accusing them of destroying American values and undermining the country's standing in the world. Trump's message resonates with a significant portion of the electorate. His supporters, many of whom feel left behind by globalization and cultural change, see him as a strongman who will fight for their interests. They applaud his tough stance on immigration, his skepticism of international agreements, and his willingness to challenge the status quo. He promises to restore America to its former glory, a time when jobs were plentiful, borders were secure, and America stood unchallenged on the world stage. He taps into a deep vein of nostalgia, a yearning for a simpler time. His rallies are a sea of red hats and American flags, a testament to his enduring appeal. Trump's campaign is not without its challenges. He faces lingering questions about his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, his business dealings, and his fitness for office. But he remains a formidable opponent, a master showman with an uncanny ability to connect with his base. Kamala Harris is making history. Her candidacy represents a watershed moment in American politics, a testament to the country's evolving demographics and shifting cultural landscape. She offers a stark contrast to Trump, a message of hope and unity in a nation deeply divided. Harris's campaign is built on a platform of progress and inclusion. She champions affordable healthcare, investment in education, and action on climate change. She speaks directly to women, minorities, and young people, groups that have historically been marginalized. She presents herself as a bridge builder, someone who can heal the divisions that have plagued the country in recent years. She calls for a return to civility and reason in political discourse, a rejection of the divisive rhetoric that has become all too common. Harris's candidacy has energized the Democratic base, particularly among women and people of color. She represents a break from the past, a symbol of a more inclusive and equitable future. But she faces an uphill battle in a country still grappling with its history of racism and sexism. The 2024 election will be fought and won on a handful of key issues, each one tapping into the deep anxieties and aspirations of the American people. The economy, always a top concern, is front and center. Trump promises to bring back manufacturing jobs and renegotiate trade deals to benefit American workers. Harris, on the other hand, emphasizes the need for investment in infrastructure, clean energy, and education to create a 21st century economy. Immigration remains a divisive issue, with Trump doubling down on his hardline stance, calling for stricter border security and limits on legal immigration. Harris advocates for a more humane approach, calling for comprehensive immigration reform that provides a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants. Healthcare is another major flashpoint. Trump continues to chip away at the Affordable Care Act, while Harris supports a Medicare for All system that would provide universal coverage. The outcome of the 2024 election hinges on a handful of battleground states where the race is too close to call. These swing states, including Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, and Arizona, represent a microcosm of the nation's political divide. Each state has its own unique mix of demographics, economic anxieties, and cultural concerns. Trump won these states by narrow margins in 2016, but Harris is hoping to flip them blue this time around. Both campaigns are pouring resources into these battlegrounds, blanketing the airwaves with ads and dispatching surrogates to rally voters. The campaigns are focusing on mobilizing their base while also trying to persuade undecided voters. They are tailoring their messages to appeal to local concerns, highlighting issues that resonate with specific communities. The fight for every vote in these swing states will be fierce, with the outcome likely to determine the next president. Social media has become the new battleground in American politics, and the 2024 election is no exception. Both Trump and Harris are leveraging the power of platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to connect with voters, disseminate their message, and attack their opponents. Trump, known for his prolific tweeting, uses social media to bypass traditional media outlets and speak directly to his supporters. He often uses inflammatory language and spreads misinformation, but his online presence has proven to be a powerful tool for mobilizing his base. Harris, while not as personally active on social media as Trump, has a sophisticated digital operation that utilizes targeted advertising, data analytics, and social media influencers to reach potential voters. Her campaign uses social media to highlight her policy positions, share personal stories, and energize her base. The 2024 election is likely to be the most digitally driven in history, with both campaigns investing heavily in social media outreach. The outcome of the election could hinge on which campaign is more effectively able to harness the power of social media to persuade voters. The 2024 election presents a stark choice between two very different visions for America's future. A Trump victory would likely mean a continuation of his America First agenda, with a focus on nationalism, protectionism, and a retreat from global engagement. He would likely continue to appoint conservative judges to the federal courts, roll back environmental regulations, and pursue tax cuts that disproportionately benefit the wealthy. Domestically, a second Trump term could see further erosion of democratic norms, a widening of political divisions, and increased social unrest. A Harris victory, on the other hand, would usher in a new era of progressive governance, with a focus on social justice, economic equality, and environmental protection. She would likely work to expand access to healthcare, invest in renewable energy, and address systemic racism and inequality. Her presidency would mark a significant shift in American foreign policy, with a renewed emphasis on diplomacy, multilateralism, and global cooperation. The choice facing American voters in 2024 is clear: a return to the policies and rhetoric of the Trump era, or a move towards a more progressive and inclusive future. As the 2024 election draws closer, concerns about election integrity loom large. Trump's unfounded claims of widespread voter fraud in 2020 have sown distrust in the electoral process among his supporters. These concerns have been amplified by efforts to restrict voting rights in several states, raising fears that some eligible voters may be disenfranchised. Harris and the Democrats have denounced these efforts, calling for expanded access to voting and measures to ensure the security and integrity of elections. The issue of foreign interference also remains a concern, with intelligence agencies warning of potential attempts by Russia, China, and other actors to influence the outcome of the election. Both campaigns are on high alert for signs of interference, and social media companies are under pressure to crack down on the spread of misinformation and disinformation. Ensuring a free, fair, and secure election is paramount to the health of American democracy. The outcome of the 2024 election must be seen as legitimate by the American people, regardless of who wins. The 2024 election will have profound implications that extend far beyond the next 4 years. The outcome will shape the Supreme Court for a generation, with the potential to overturn Roe v. Wade and impact other landmark decisions. It will determine the future of climate change policy, with Trump likely to continue his rollback of environmental regulations, while Harris has pledged to make climate action a top priority. The election will also have a lasting impact on America's role in the world. Trump's America First approach has strained alliances and emboldened adversaries, while Harris has promised to restore America's global leadership. The decisions made by the next president will reverberate for decades to come, shaping not only America's destiny, but also the course of the 21st century. The eyes of the world are on America as the 2024 election unfolds. The outcome will have profound implications for global stability, trade, and the fight against climate change. America's allies are watching nervously, hoping for a return to predictability and engagement after the tumultuous Trump years. They worry that a second Trump term would further damage alliances, undermine international institutions, and embolden authoritarian leaders. America's adversaries, on the other hand, see a Trump victory as an opportunity to advance their own interests at the expense of the United States. They believe that a divided and inward-looking America would be less willing to counter their aggression or support democratic values abroad. The stakes are high for the world as America chooses its next leader. As the 2024 election enters its final weeks, a palpable sense of anxiety and uncertainty hangs over America. The country is on edge, bracing for what promises to be a contentious and potentially divisive election night. Both campaigns are pulling out all the stops, crisscrossing the country and flooding the airwaves with ads. The stakes have never felt higher, the divisions never deeper. The outcome of the election will have a profound impact on the lives of every American, shaping the country's future for generations to come. But no matter who wins, the real work will begin after the votes are counted. The next president will face the daunting task of healing a divided nation, addressing the challenges of the 21st century, and restoring America's standing in the world. The road ahead will be long and difficult, but the future of American democracy depends on it.